Hey everyone, last section of 3.3, and this part should be a complete review for you, so try to fill this in. But basically, we have less than, greater than, and both of those have open circle. And then if we have less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, those are going to have a closed circle. And then think about the way that we shade. We've talked about if it's less than or equal to, we have shade left. And then we have shade right if it is greater than. Okay, so complete review. Now today our goal is we're going to see more negatives today. Some will be negatives, some will not be negatives. Remember, coefficient is a number in front. So for example, 2x, 2 is my coefficient, and today you're going to see that your coefficients are going to be negative. I don't know if you noticed, but none of them were negative yesterday, and this is going to make a big difference in today's lesson. So let's go ahead and practice. There's one exception to solving inequalities when you have that negative coefficient. So maybe let's write that again. So negative coefficients, whenever you see that, think about how, like if we're solving equations or inequalities, think about how we would solve this. Our first step would be to get x alone, and the opposite of multiplying by -3 would be to divide by -3. So that step right there of dividing both sides of this inequality by a negative makes a huge difference. So if that goes away, my answer is -4. Since I divided by a negative number, I'm going to flip that sign around. So instead of greater than, it's actually going to turn into less than. Okay? So that's my special rule today. This is the most important thing to take away from this lesson. Whenever you divide, like you just saw, or the same thing's going to happen if you ever multiply an inequality by a negative number, you must flip the inequality symbol. Okay, so important. Only when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay, so let's check out this one. Well, first of all, we got to graph this one. So I have -4, bigger than that is -3, smaller is -5. Should have an open circle at -4, shade everything less than. Okay, next problem, a little bit longer. Let's see if we have to do this special rule where we flip it around. Okay, maybe make a little note here that that's what we did. We had to flip because we multiplied by a negative in this one. So this one here, I'm going to add 2 on both sides. So I'm left with 4x is -20. So let's think, do I have to flip here? Nope, I just added 2 on both sides. So no flipping necessary. Keep it as greater than. My next step, to get x alone, I'm going to divide by 4. Oops. So if I divide both sides by 4, I have x and then -5. So I know I have a negative over here, but let's think about what we did in this step. We divided by a +4. So that doesn't fit my rule. I just divided. I didn't divide by a -4, so I'm going to keep it as greater than. So no flip needed for this one. I have -5, -4 over here, -6 over here. Open circle, everything greater than -5. Okay, next one, I've got variables on both sides, so this one's going to be a doozy. So I have, draw my line. My first step, I want to try to get these a's together. So I'm going to subtract 4a on both sides. So I have -2a minus 11 is greater than or equal to 7, because all I did was subtract here. I didn't multiply or divide. So I have -2a minus 11 is greater than or equal to 7. No flipping needed yet. So my next step, I want to try to get rid of this -11, so I'm going to add 11. I'm not multiplying or dividing by a negative, so I'm not going to flip anything. I have -2a greater than or equal to 18. Last step, in order to get a by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by a -2. So think of what I just did. Alarm should go off in my head. I'm dividing by a negative. So my answer is going to be a. I have -9, and since I divided by a negative, I'm going to flip this guy around. So A is now less than or equal to negative 9. I'm going to graph it. And I'm going to have a closed circle this time, shading this way. Okay, you've got 3 more problems to try just like it. So some you will have to flip the inequality, some you will not. So be very, very careful.